We're going to take a look at slope today, and slope is really how steep your line goes up or goes down. Now the formula for slope is your y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, or the change in y over change in x, or you can think of it as rise over run. Now, if you have a horizontal line is always in the form of y equaling some number, and your slope is 0 because it doesn't go up or go down, so the top up here, the change in y, is 0. Your y value here is always the same no matter what x is, so it's always y equaling a number. Also, if you have a vertical line is always in the form of x equaling a number, because it's always x equaling the same thing no matter what your y is. And in this case, your slope is undefined. The reason your slope is undefined is because your x's, no matter what 2 points you choose, are both the same. And when you subtract two things that are the same, your change in your x, what you get for your run, is 0. And you can never divide by 0. If you have a diagonal line that goes up as you go to the right, your slope is positive. And can be written, your equation of your line can be written in the form of y equals mx plus b. If you are going down as you go to the right, your slope is negative. And then it can also be written in the form of y equals mx plus b. Well, here you're asked to find the slope between these 2 points and then graph your line. Well, to graph this, you go 1 to the right and 3 up, and that's what we have here for your red mark. Here you go 2 to the left and 3 down, that's what we have for the blue mark, and you just draw a line that goes in between those two. To find your slope, you got to subtract this y value minus this y value. So we go our 3 minus our negative 3 over the corresponding x value here minus the corresponding x value here. 1 minus a negative 2. So we end up getting a 6 on top over a 3, or a slope of 2. And you notice with your line, you go up 2 over 1, which is a rise of 2. Now, some of you might be wondering, well, aren't you supposed to do it the other way? Well, suppose we did take this y value minus this y value over this x value minus this x value. You would get a negative 6 over a negative 1, or sorry, over a negative 3, which is also a positive 2, so you get the same slope either way. The order in which you do it, the green or the pink, does not make a difference. You'll get the same answer either way. So here you're asked to go ahead and graph a line, goes through this point and has this slope here. So you're going to mark that point first. So you go 2 to the left and 3 up. Then your slope is negative 1/2. You know slope is rise over run. So it's rise over run equals negative 1 over 2. So that means you got to go rise negative 1, meaning down 1, and go to the right 2. So you go down 1 to the right 2, 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 and then you just draw a line going through all those. Now, you could also write this as a 1 over a negative 2. So if you go back to your initial point, since your rise is a positive and your run is a negative, you could go up 1 to the left 2, up 1 to the left 2, and you would get the same points in the same line. Then just go ahead and draw a line going through all those points. Now, if you go ahead and graph these on your calculator, you'll notice you end up getting lines that are the same steepness, but just going in the same direction, but parallel, not touching each other. When you plug each one of these into your y equals on your graphing calculator and use the zoom standard window, you end up getting a window that looks like this here. You'll notice all the lines have the same steepness, but they have different y-intercepts. Our steepness comes from the number in front of x. We have parallel lines and they have the same slope. Well, here we want to graph a line that goes through this point So we're going to start out at 0 over 1 up. It needs to be parallel to this line. Well, we know parallel lines have the same slope. So we need to first of all go ahead and get this solved for y so we can find our slope. So we're going to take our line, solve it for y, so we're going to have to subtract the 2x from everything. So then we get y is equal to a negative 2x plus 4. So your slope is a negative 2, your y-intercept is a 4. But that's the y-intercept of the line that we want to be parallel to. So we're really only concerned about our slope being a negative 2. Well, with your slope being negative 2, you know it's rise over run, and that's a negative 2 over 1. Or you could write that as a 2 over a negative 1. Doesn't make a difference. So if you use the first idea, you could go down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1. Or if you use the second one here, you'd rise 2, go to the left 1. So up 2, left 1, up 2, left 1, up 2, left 1. And so then you draw in your line connecting those and you get the blue line. Well, here you're asked to go ahead and graph this in your calculator. If you graph the first two, you end up getting this one right here. You'll notice you have a right angle that's formed here, so these lines are perpendicular. If you graph the second two, you get this one here. Also, you get a right angle. Well, what can you tell me about the slopes of the first two that give you a right angle? And also the slopes of the second two here that give you a right angle. Notice this is really over 1 here. And what you can notice about the two yellow ones or the two green slopes is that your slopes are opposite reciprocals. So the lines are perpendicular and your slopes are opposite reciprocals or negative reciprocals is another way to say it. So we need to go ahead and graph a line that goes through this point and perpendicular to this. Perpendicular means we first of all got to find our slope of that, so we got to solve it for y. So subtract your 2x from both sides. Then you got to get rid of the negative 3, so divide everything by negative 3. So we get a slope of a 2/3. But we want it perpendicular, so the slope we want is a, flip the fraction upside down, change the sign, a negative 3/2. So you're going to start off, first of all, with your point, 2 over 1 up, and then you're going to go a rise of 3, down 3 over 2, down 3 over 2. Or you could go up 3 to the left 2. And so then you draw in your line.